PreCure Theatre! Sora, I have wonderful news!
What is it, Mashiro?
I'm trans!
Oh, congratulations! That's
You're
amazing.
trans too! We're all trans in PreCure!
My goodness! Everyone's identity is whatever they make it. That's wonderful!
Yay! Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba! Ow!
永遠の友達プリキュア映画プリキュアオールスターズニューステージ3永遠の友達
Hello, fellow Goovy goers. A Goovy,
That's Goovy, baby.
Is a 4D sensation experience in which you get gooed in the audience. Hello, fellow moviegoers, and I hope you brought your popcorn for episode 6 of
Season 3 of Cure of the What Now?
Hiya! The one show where we know, heck, I didn't come up with something for this part. The movie villains' motives are always ambiguous, and the girls always come out on top. How about that's what we know?
Okay, fantastic. And you're our host?
Yeah, I'm your host, Kat, and apparently I can't do my job this week. Who are you?
My name is Joel, and I've constructed a Wile E. Coyote-style sign that's telling you that you can't go confess your feelings to your girlfriend and future wife.
Oh man, if there's a sign that says that, I should really follow the, haha, just kidding, I'm going over the sign. I'm gonna confess my feelings. Joel, do you have any news or announcements for this week?
I believe I mentioned that I'm now an official crew member / host. Well, I don't know about host. I think Tyler's the technical host of Piecemeal. And so volume 87 episode is out now. And next week is the volume 86 came out this week. And 87 will be out next week. And we had a lot of fun recording it. Look forward to the hijinks that ensue.
You guys sounded like you had a lot of fun. Like, without giving anything away, the chapters that they're covering in One Piece right now, years and years and years ago, when these chapters were like airing week to week, we were at Thanksgiving dinner with my parents. Dinner had just concluded. Everybody was winding down. Joel's sitting at the table on his phone. We're in a corner talking, my parents and I, and Joel just starts cackling. And we all like snap up and look at him and we're like, what? And Joel goes, oh, it's a One Piece thing. I'll tell you what it was when we get there, because he and I were also reading the manga at the time. I was just a lot further back. So I'm very excited for you to be in what seems like one of your favorite areas of One Piece.
Absolutely. A wedding goes horribly wrong. There's a man who fights by rubbing his tummy, and thousands of protagonists burst out of a giant wedding cake.
See, if you're not watching One Piece, why? When you could have all of that. Are there any other announcements before we get into the goo of the episode?
I think that's everything.
Excellent. Now, this week we watched the Happiness Charge movie. It was New Stage 3.
Yes. The PreCure New Stage 3 Eternal Friends.
And then we also watched Splash Star 6 and Delicious Party 6, and you're giving me a face because I'm doing this out of order. Usually we do discussion questions
Well,
next.
and also it's written down in our notes. There's a little section that's labeled what we watched, and then right underneath that is what we will cover next episode.
I have to be honest with you. I'm feeling a tad discombobulated, and I don't know where it came from.
I'm sorry. Perhaps you're a skeleton man who can survive having his head chopped off, but it's still inconvenient.
But
Maybe
I'm a
this
girl.
happened at a wedding party as well. Maybe it's big news!
Joel.
Sorry, this is not a One Piece
Can't put that air horn in. This is not a One Piece podcast. Let's talk some PreCure, since this is in fact a PreCure podcast. What's our discussion question this week?
This one actually comes from you, my love. Since it's an anniversary season, what sort of references or cameos do people most want to see in Soaring Sky PreCure? And then I added, and if you could have only one character or team cameo, who would you pick? I think people missed that second part of the question, but that's okay.
I mean, I think AU got it. AU said they want a Splash Star.
Absolutely. And they also clarified that we also kind of already have Splash Star representation, but you and I are not far enough into Splash Star to know what they meant by that statement. I'm just going to assume that AU appreciates the women loving women vibes of Saki and Mai, and that as their relationship grows, their powers get stronger, and we're already seeing that in Sora and Mashiro. But I could be wrong. Maybe there's some secret second use for spirits that happens at the halfway point, and that's how Sora is doing such big punches.
Absolutely, could be. I also want to include Ayu's shout out to at LQ Flower Picks on Twitter. This is a friend of theirs that is apparently a Toku fan, and they made some really cool PreCure concept OCs for the 20th season, like way before Soaring Sky was announced and came out. And they were sewing and cosplay themed, and they're Cure Opal and Cure Onyx, so
Yeah,
shout out to like the original black and white. And I just thought those were really cool. So if you enjoy PreCure art or original content, I highly recommend going and looking at their designs. They've got like form changes for each of the seasons.
Yes, which actually brings us to Telemon's answer to this question. I guess Kamen Rider / Sentai have done this before for some of their anniversary seasons, but Telemon wanted the ability to kind of borrow the powers of previous PreCure, and I believe... Nope, I didn't see... He didn't specify, like, what mechanic he would use that for, because, like, in PreCure, you could use makeup, it could be a dress-up power, it could be literally you just, like, hold your hand up to the sky and you call it the name of a PreCure. It could be through the magic mirror that Grandma Yo-Yo has, right?
Oh, I love that. Like, you step into the mirror and you see a different self reflected.
Yep, maybe. If they did get that power, do you think that they would just immediately go for Delicious Party as the most recent season that the kids remember most?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
As fun as it is to include callbacks to the old series, I think they're going to include the most recent stuff first, like they do in the newer movies.
Absolutely. And the way that they do at the end credits, where they have a past cure. We haven't gone back more than like maybe 2 seasons so far with those end credit ending. My brain was trying to fill in extra words.
I'm already getting the reference that I want, but Kiki Jump. Just always more Kiki Jump.
Oh, yeah.
Moto Kiki Jump.
See, I couldn't quite, like... What are you talking? I was imagining, like, Luigi's weird waddle in the air that he gets in Super Mario Bros. 2 that allows him to hover a little bit. But you mean, like, the thing where they bounce off of a metal pole?
Yeah.
Okay,
or a wall or some other object.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is they land on a thing and they kick off of it to obtain forward momentum. A Kiki Jump. I also need more rider kicks, which in this show are PreCure kicks, but PreCure double kick from Fresh lives rent-free in my mind.
Yeah, Fresh eventually got to, like, triple kick, I believe. Like, they just kept upping the ante in a way that you and I really enjoyed.
Or, like, remember the Tropical Rouge movie with the all-together butt punch or whatever they called it?
Yes,
Quintuple
absolutely.
butt punch.
Oh, man, it was like 9 of the girls, so it wasn't a quintuple. It would be like a non-nuple, I think. No one ever uses 9, but I'm pretty sure.
The word non-upple has uncomfy vibes to me, so...
Yeah, absolutely. We can just move on. So here's my question. Do you think each of the PreCure seasons have enough of their own identity that if they made a 1-episode cameo each, that they could give a different piece of advice to Sora and Mashiro?
Maybe.
Yeah, I would also say maybe. I'm not sure.
Because, like, love is all about getting your happiness.
Happiness catch, yeah. Or happiness
and,
get.
Yeah, what is Shiawase get? And what is Megami / Cure Lovely about getting your happiness, but also love?
Well, she doesn't call it getting your happiness, but yeah, like, well, and I know I harp on it a lot, but I do not know what Black and White would have to say. Nagisa would say, I really like takoyaki, and Honoka would say it's important to go to school and study math. And, like, those are important lessons, but I couldn't see how you would do a Soaring Sky episode centered around them.
I think if you leaned into the secret core of Futariwa, which is opposites and yin and yang and harmony, you could have something about, like, maybe the girls are fighting and each of them gets a different Futariwa girl on their side. And at the end.
Meanwhile, Shiny Luminous is just, like, carrying Ellie around the city.
Oh, I love that. That's so much nicer than what I thought you were going to say.
Why would I be mean to Shiny Luminous?
Ask me what I thought you were going to
She's just
say.
as bland as the other two characters from her season. What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say, and meanwhile, Shiny Luminous is...
What the Catherine?
It's a quote from a book.
Yeah, a book about boys being weird boys, not girls being young girls.
Oh, fun. You can hummy it out.
Hummy. You bet.
Hummy is a cameo I would like to see.
Yes.
And I would
absolutely.
love to see Tart come down and instruct Elle on how to be a weird fairy baby, since he did for Chiffon.
It would be hard to do this and justify it because, like, I bet that the VAs make big bucks, at least in the market of VAs. But, like, what about where if they ran into the civilian forms of the different Kiers and they didn't explicitly tell us that it was Kier Black? They just meet a girl named Nagisa. She gets along with Sora because they're both athletic or something. And then she gives Sora a bit of advice and then she kind of wanders off and Nagisa never finds out that Sora is PreCure. Sora never finds out that Nagisa is PreCure.
I love that.
And then when you do the All-Stars movie, PreCure All-Stars F or whatever it's called, that's going to be out in September, all the girls show up and they're like, oh my god, it's all the girls! Those are the girls who taught us how to put on perfume like a princess? They're PreCure? That's the girl who was obsessed with stars and she says Kirayama. She's a PreCure?
Her hair was pink. How could we have guessed? No, I like that. I think that would be a great way to do it. Something else I like is there is a bad guy from one of the older seasons, and he consistently cameos in various seasons.
Oh, in like the movies, I think.
And in the movies and stuff. And so I would love to see him, like, just wandering down the street. He doesn't even have to interact with the girls in any meaningful way. Just be there, and I can go, it's the guy, and then I'm happy.
Yeah, I can't remember which season it was, but there's one season where they have either a school festival or the kind of summer festival that almost all anime have at some point, and there was a mask of Miyuki from Smile, I'm pretty sure, like, in the background, and, like, that's what I would prefer. Like, yes, you can have an episode where Nagisa shows up and she says, like, oh, yes, it's really good that girls have beautiful souls and we hold hands and stuff. But, like, it almost feels like that takes away from the main characters. So I'd much prefer, like, in the background, you just see, like, Pan Paka Pan has opened a branch in whatever city they're in, or like one of Yo-Yo's classmates is watching a YouTube ad from Aurora, the actress PreCure, and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Are we good to go into Succinct Summaries?
I think we're good, Joel. And, you know, this time you can have a whole sentence and a half. To make your point.
Okay,
I'm joking. Make the succinct summaries as long or as succinct as you want. It just seemed last episode you were like, I'm on it this time.
Message received. I should make it as short as possible.
My wife is a bully and she will make me sleep under the deck if I'm not succinct enough.
She'll make me
Joel!
What?
That's not funny when you say it. It's funny when it's about a girl. You're not or you're real. Shiny Luminous isn't real.
It's going to be so funny because the parts that I'm going to censor out, people are just going to hear that's not funny when you say it. But okay. Just to be clear, it's not the N-word. I cannot stress enough.
Oh my god, now people are going to think that was the joke.
No, that's not the joke.
Joel would never. It would probably actually kill him.
There was a comic on Last Comic Standing who made a joke about, like, the only time he would use that word is as his password because it's the one word he would never say out loud, and that is me. That's my spirit animal, my twin from another mother right there. That's how I feel.
They could be threatening to shoot you, gun to your head, and you just be like, sir, no.
Absolutely. Okay. So, like you said, Splash Star 6, Soaring Sky 6, and All Stars New Stage 3. Splash Star. Saki thinks Mai's parents are awesome, but Mai thinks Saki's parents are awesome. They get attacked at a lake. Soaring Sky. Sora and Mashiro aren't communicating their feelings. Mashiro goes to school, and Sora puts on makeup, with help from Ageha. All-Stars New Stage 3, a dream fairy is sad, so his mom kidnaps children, and now the Happiness Charge girls have to save the children.
I think we can do one better.
Okay.
Okay, give me a second to compose myself, because I don't want to laugh my way through this. dreaming, fairies, girls, mom, monsters, fleeing into the dream realm, beating some people up because technically we're PreCure.
I love that. That was great. So, those have been your succinct summaries.
Perfect, beautiful, incredible, succinct summaries, as always. If I could remember the words from Go Princess's opening, I would use those. One of them is Oots Couscous.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So, good job, man. Good job. I'm
Thank
proud
you very
of
much. So we will start, of course, with Splash Star, and Karahan is not dead, which I'm not saying I want him to die, and I didn't think he would die by episode 6. It just feels like both him and we'll talk about Kabaton, but they've both been given their quote-unquote last chance, and they're just walking around, everything's fine.
He was kind of cracking me up this episode, though.
Was it? Which part?
I don't remember, but just his attitude. Like, he seemed very sassy.
He tried to punch or maybe kick. He did some kind of physical violence to Goya. And Goya, like, floated away like he was Yoda in the prequel movies. And then he bounced off the walls and just came back to a resting position as Karahan was leaving. And, like, that was kind of weird, but also kind of entertaining.
I continue to hate Goya so much.
Yeah.
I just want to crush his stupid penis-shaped head.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just very curious to see what happens. Like, so in...
This was the episode about dads.
Yeah, this was the episode about, well, it was kind of about both sets of parents, but it kind of focused more on the dads a little bit, I would say. But in Futari Wa, you met the first clown guy, I can't remember his name, and then when he was defeated, it showed the evil council of other evildoers, basically.
How dare you forget the name of Pizzard? He's a...
Please watch your language. I can edit all of this out, but I don't want to.
I'm sorry, I thought that word was allowed. It's not technically a swear. It's just gross.
I don't like it. It's a bad word. Okay, but anyways. Oh, and even if I censor it out, people are going to be able to figure out. They're going to be able to reverse engineer. What could she possibly have taken the word lizard and turned it into? My point is I'm kind of getting the vibes that, like, the other evil spirits haven't yet been created in this world, if that makes sense. Like, after Karahan gets killed, Goya is going to, like, take his bones and put it in a stew, and then out of the stew will come the next monster.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So, but it's also possible that they're all just, like, off in the woods, having fun activities.
Goyon unhinges his jaw and swallows Karahan. And then he disgorges a slimy something that stands up and is the next villain.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would be awful. It would make me hate Goya even more.
Doesn't that seem just like him, though?
Yep,
oh, the bastard.
All right, what I wanted to say is that I kind of alluded to this, but Saki is kind of like, oh, my parents are so lame. They're always at the bakery. And then Mai and her family show up, and they're like, wow, your family's so great. And Saki's like, my family's not great. And then she and her little sister Minori, so funny that we eventually got a PreCure 20 years later called Minori. They go on, like, a family trip to, like, the lake, and then the dad does a conference about stars, and Nagisa is like, wow, your dad's so cool. But then at the end of the episode, it turns out that her dad's really cool because he cares about the family, and Nagisa, or Saki, is happy that her family is cool.
The mafia is offering him protection money, and he's like, no. That's not really it. It's hotels want to sell Panpakupan's breads in their bakery, and he's like, no, we're keeping this a family-owned thing so we can control the quality.
I got the impression, too, that, like, if they push themselves too much further, they might have to move, and so, like, he was kind of like, this is my town a little bit. But this is the episode that was the longest ago in my memory, so there's a chance that I'm forgetting different parts of it.
You didn't let me ask my titular question. Titular's the wrong word to use there. Did you like this episode?
It's all right.
I thought it was cute. I feel like Splash Star is doing a really good job with its characters. Like, none of the characters in this show feel extraneous the way sometimes the family in Futari Wa did.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that because they have not yet started being a magical girl show proper, where they do magical girl stuff, and it's more like a slice of life drama, it is better at slice of life than Futari Wa, which bored me senseless. But I still prefer Happiness Charge and Soaring Sky because they have more action and interesting character dynamics.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Twitter once said that PreCure is not a superhero show. It's a slice of life show that happens to have superhero elements in it. And I think I started enjoying PreCure a lot more when I embraced that because now I'm watching it for the slice of life things. I'm not watching and being like, when is the superhero stuff going to matter, though?
Absolutely.
Not to say I don't like the newer seasons. I'm really enjoying the direction of Soaring Sky. Just that helped me appreciate it a little more.
For sure. And people have heard this complaint. If they've heard me say it once, they've heard me say it 1,000 times. I don't care about Nagisa and Honoka's relationship, and I don't really care about them personally either. And I will say that Saki certainly seems just the tiniest bit more assertive or confident. I'm not sure which of those two words I would pick, but she's a little bit more like direct, talking to Saki, being like, I think your family's great. Whereas I feel like Honoka might be like more quiet, more be like, oh, is that what you think of my family? And like, I don't know. I think Saki is a good, Mai is a good improvement over Honoka.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to say about Splash Star?
No.
I continue to enjoy their way they do the magic punchies and kickies.
That's true. They do channel their magic energy. At one point, Saki put her hands on the lake. They were in a boat. They went on a very romantic date on the lake. And she used it to like propel the boat forward in order to catch Mai. And okay, that was kind of neat.
See, now I can't let it be a date because that implies that Mai's dad was dating Saki's little sister.
No. He was babysitting her so that
the girls could go on a date.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, and here we're going to rely on Hami's power again, Minori doesn't... Mai and Saki.
You know, I cut you off. I interrupted you because I thought maybe we'd move on and you wouldn't get to say that. That was on purpose. That was a conscious choice. I peed on your couch. You can bleep all that out, too. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's a reference to Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension, one of the greatest movies of all time.
That's fair, yeah. If you haven't seen that, then get out.
But first you have to watch every episode of Phineas and Ferb. Not every, but like a good...
4.
Yeah, okay, I'd say half a dozen, before you watch that movie, because...
I like that half a dozen is just 6, which is only 2 more than 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half a dozen sounds more refined. And we are talking about a bakery, of course.
Of course. Really quick, something I noticed, or I guess noticed is the wrong word, but at one point we're watching Splash
Your
Star.
synapses fired, and you made the connection.
And I leaned over to Joel, and I'm like, hey, Joel, the name of their bakery is a pun. Pan Paku Pan is also the word for, like, fanfare or excitement. And Joel's like, oh, that's really cool. And then 2 days later, Joel goes, bad news. AU pointed that out in the Discord, so now you don't get your thunder.
It's going to look like you're just copying what AU said. AU, the native Japanese language speaker. But here's what we could do. How did you make this connection? How did you know that Pan Paku Pan was Celebration fanfare?
There is a show called Romantic Killer.
Fantastic show, I would recommend.
Amazing. It's so funny. But the end credits song, the terrible little fairy monster goes, Pan Paku Pan, which translates as, a fanfare, please.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other additional pun in there is that pan is the word for bread in Japanese. Mm-hmm. So it's a celebration
of bread.
Of bread. Bread, our holy savior.
I, too, celebrate bread. Give us this day our daily loaves.
Let's move on to Happiness Chargy All-Stars movie. Now, I figured something out.
Hold on.
What?
Did you like this movie?
Yeah, it was all right.
Okay, I agree. What did you figure out?
Okay, so... after we released last week's episode, Into the Wild, I looked up the movie to make sure that we were watching the right one and that sort of a thing, and I noticed that in the cover of the film promo image, Cure was there. Oops, I shouldn't. But my point is I don't think this is the appropriate time to watch this movie because we haven't been introduced to the third Cure in Happiness Charge yet. But I was delighted to find out when we watched this movie that she doesn't play a major role. She's not really a part of the team. She appears to be some kind of like secret Sixth Ranger type of situation who maybe has gotten her PreCure powers, but she doesn't know who Megami and Hime are, and Megami and Hime don't know who she is, which is convenient for Kat and I, who also kind of don't know who it is, except it's clearly the one girl who keeps showing up in every episode and the opening.
Wink.
But just in case, we'd hit our heads and we didn't notice, this movie did not spoil that twist for us.
Weird that a cure not in the series was in the movie, but Cure Fortune, who is in the series, was not. Was she just busy?
Here's the thing. We haven't gotten to the episode where we find out that Cure Fortune is actually a figment of Cure Hime's imagination.
Oh my god, it's a Fight Club situation.
Whoa, spoilers! No, just kidding. Kind of.
It's a situation.
Isn't it amazing that I went 25 years, I think, having never seen that movie, but also not knowing how it ended, and then one day someone just mentioned it, and I was like, oh man.
I maybe was gonna watch that someday.
Eventually.
It's
been
still
25
shocking
years.
to me that you've never seen Fight Club. I really think we need to watch it sometime. It's a good movie. Moving on, because this is not a Fight Club podcast or a cinephile podcast. I feel like Fortune was probably busy fighting Terabads. And she was probably like, that effing Hime, she's so useless. Why isn't she out here doing this? Does she just have better things to do? And yeah, Hime did have better things to do. She was fighting a dream demon.
Yeah, absolutely. There might be a reason in universe, but we know the real reason is because these movies are to celebrate members of the team that we've seen, and Fortune hasn't joined the team. So maybe she has her own solo All-Stars movie that does not include, the other three Cures, but does cross over with Futariwa, Max Heart, Splash Star, etc., etc., etc.
Maybe. Are there any particular scenes or moments you wanted to shout out from this movie?
Yes. So, as is tradition with many of the All-Stars movies, the focus is mostly on the newest team, Happiness Charge, and then the last couple of teams. So, the Futariwa and Splash Star girls are here, and they have a moment to shine, but they don't really interact very much with Hime and Megami. That honor goes to, what's her name? Ayumi from Smile? Miyuki?
Miyuki.
Okay. Anyways, they focus a lot on the, no, she's not the Smile girl. She's the Yes Go Go 5 girl, isn't she? The one who was seen as a teacher?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, the Doki Doki girls played a bigger role than the Smile girls.
Maybe. Listen, what I'm trying to get at is that there's a scene in this movie. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out, because now that we are making the succinct summary so short, you just don't know what's going on. But there's a scene where all of the PreCure get captured, and they go into the dream sphere, and they all basically have achieved their dreams. So if a girl says that her dream is to be an author, she is now a published author in this dream world. Someone else wanted to be a doctor, she's now a successful doctor. The fresh girls have won their dancing competition, right? But one girl in particular is shown to be a teacher, and halfway through the lesson, she says something about this is just a dream, and I can tell. And there's these chimera creatures, which are sort of like fairies, but I guess technically not. Or maybe they are, but they're like a specific subspecies. But they're surprised. They're like, oh my gosh, girls normally don't notice when they're in this deep trance. And it turns out that, I believe it's Miyuki who wants to be a teacher. She knows that she's not good enough to be a teacher yet, and so when she forgot how the poem ended that she was writing on the board, and then the dream magic just happened to fill it in, she's like, yeah, this isn't real. And I really liked that.
That was great. It doesn't really matter which of the girls it was, because it was just the scene that you liked, but it was the lead from Fresh. Or not Fresh, sorry. Yes, 5.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It also kind of makes sense, because isn't Happiness Charge technically an anniversary season? And so, yes, PreCure 5 Go Go was also an anniversary season, and so that's why they...
Oh, maybe that's why it's the only other one that's gotten a sequel.
What?
Because Futariwa got a sequel.
Right.
And Yes 5 got Go Go, which is a sequel.
Yes.
So maybe they were like, for the anniversary, we'll do a sequel.
We'll go back to the sequel. Okay. And then they realize afterwards that they never want to do that again.
Well, you can't sell as many new toys if you do a sequel season.
Well, and yeah, most PreCure characters don't have very complex character arcs, and those that do, the season centers around it. And so when you get to episode 48 or 49 or 45, it's all wrapped up. So when you do a sequel, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to have this entire team with all of their fleshed out abilities, and then like a whole new team? No, get out of here.
Absolutely. Shout out to the movie only Cure Echo.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So we didn't see her introduction. We haven't seen New Stage One.
New Stage 1 introduces Cure Echo, who is a Cure who doesn't have a fairy but is able to transform through the miraculous power of that movie. And then the next movie doesn't have her, but it has two fairies that kind of want to find their own PreCure. And then this is the movie where their paths cross and the fairy acquire the PreCure and the PreCure acquires the fairy.
Very
and they
cute.
work together.
And the movie confirmed that some of the PreCure's transformation power comes from the magic of the fairies.
Yes,
so I like
absolutely.
that. It gives the fairies more of like a solid role. Does Elle count as a fairy?
I think she's a special case, but yeah, I mean, she's the only mascot character we have, unless Tsubasa does not turn into a bird. Like, unless Tsubasa stays as a bird, and we've all been lied to about the fact that, or we've all been misled to the fact that he'll be.
I would love it if we were all misled, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're not on that yet. Really liked the use of the other cures in this movie. I feel like sometimes because there's so many of them, it's easy to just kind of brush over them.
Absolutely.
But I felt like they all got pretty adequate screen time.
I really liked... Okay, so to give a little bit more detail about like what's going on, there's a fairy. He's the focus of this movie. Every single PreCure movie has a special character who is the focus of the plot. And his name is Yumata, and he's sad because he spends all this time with people in the dream world, but when they wake up, they forget him. So his overprotective helicopter mom is like, I'll just kidnap the children, make them stay here so that my child can be happy, because Yumata's happiness is more important than these children's and their family's happiness. But their real job, when they're not abducting children, is to fight nightmares, which are these kind of bear-like creatures, most of whom are rather giant bear-like creatures, but there's also tiny little guys that seem to be like way more energetic and maybe nimble compared to the
There's
other
a
ones.
scene of one of them just like helicoptering their head in a circle, and I can only imagine he was screaming the whole time, like, wow!
Exactly. But there's a moment where they all combine into a giant mecha nightmare type creature that's being piloted by one of these bear things wearing glasses. And I think it's the OG Futari Wa girls who beat up the giant robot. And then the dork nightmare bear leaves in like a little spaceship, and he sees Cure Moonlight and Cure Ace and is going to try to assassinate them, but they just turn around and just immediately eviscerate the ship. And Cure Ace says, and I quote, "You're 100 years too early to assassinate us."
Incredible.
Yeah, who is
Best
this
line of the
imperious
movie.
child
Yes.
who let her run around causing all of this trouble?
I never expected that kind of line in PreCure. Like you're 100 years too early to assassinate me is a shonen staple. So
We have a channel in our Discord, the description or the link to which is in my Twitter bio and in the YouTube description. But we have a channel about live tweeting about whatever. So if you're watching an episode of something and you want to give like a play-by-play, you're someone who's like super excited to share, you can do that. So I decided to share some of my thoughts while we were watching the movie. And one of the first things I said was, I guarantee you I'm going to get Mana and Megami mixed up, and guess what happened? Because my goodness, some of these pink girls are very hard to distinguish in my
you
opinion.
poor thing. You had such a hard time with like, is that Mana? No, that's the one from Yes. What? We finally got to see the scene of Mana in her prime minister outfit, which I've seen in memes, but I hadn't seen. And it would also make a great Ace Attorney bit.
Yep, absolutely. Of course it would. Also, this will never stop being funny. There's a scene where the mom character, who might not even have a name, she might just be Yumata's mom, but she's summoning all of the previous PreCure by like calling them out. So she goes, the Futari Wa girls, and they show up, and she goes, and then the Splash Star girls, and the Splash Star girls show up, and she goes, and I summoned the PreCure 5. Why are there 6 of them? Why are they called the PreCure 5? They should change their band name.
Listen,
I know Milky doesn't count. She doesn't go here, right?
You took the wind out of my sails, you bastard.
Here, say it. I'll cut out the part where I say it.
No, it's fine.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I wanted to humorously call you a bastard. It just came out with more venom than I intended. Oh man, is there anything else to say about this movie? I liked it when the girls were ninjas.
Yeah, we actually got to see, because we've seen Hime do the ninja thing in an episode that was mostly about her, but we haven't seen Megami do it. Megami transforms. I also liked, there's a bit where they're like, we're going to transform and kick your butt, Yumata's unnamed mom. And then the next scene is just them in, like, jail or whatever, and they've lost. And Yumata's mom is just like, I'm a dream fairy. Like, you don't have any power here. You can't beat me.
His mom's not unnamed. Her name is Mamata.
What?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. Was she named that before she became a mom, or did her name change after she had given birth?
Oh, that's a good question. The dream realm is all about perception, so perhaps your perception of her changes her identity.
Absolutely.
Brandon Sanderson, get on the phone!
I also love that some of the girls are allowed to mess up and be clumsy. So, again, I cannot keep the PreCure differentiated if I haven't seen their season. So I believe it was the Smile girl, but it might have been the Yes PreCure 5 girl. But she's going to do like a big punch, and then she trips and she smacks her head into the enemy. And then some of her teammates are like, oh, good job using your patented head bonk attack. And just like, God, you guys are so dumb. Or the number of times that Erica, there's one point where like an octopus monster shows up and like slaps her away, and Blossom has to be like, Erica, or whatever her name is. What is it when she transforms?
Marine.
Oh yeah, that's right. So she's like, Marine, no! Marine's like, I'm blasting off again!
Shout out to my girl Erica Cure Marine. She had a lot of great faces in this movie.
She always has the best faces.
She's so dumb. I love her so much. There's also a great scene early in the movie when the Doki Doki girls are like waiting in the public square for something to happen. And you can see different side characters basically from other seasons.
Yes.
So Juan is there. Erica's older sister is there.
Characters who were important but didn't get their own transformations and therefore are excluded from
What are you talking about? Juan was Cure Muse, right?
That's true, yeah. We did find that out very briefly. One last scene that I want to point out. All of the bears fuse together to become an octopus. I mean, obviously, we all saw that coming, right?
I mean, I've read Danganronpa, and so bears, octopus, basically
There's
the
no
same.
octopus in... Oh, there might be. Anyways, so it slaps all the PreCure down to the ground, right? It's like, I'm going to kill you! And I'm very curious if it actually used the Japanese word for kill. I'm guessing the fan subs might have had some fun with that one. But it slams all the girls into the ground with its tentacles. And I should say all the girls except for... our girls, Hime and Megami. But then when the smoke clears, it can't pull its tentacles back because each of the teams basically flipped, landed on their legs, and grabbed the tentacle. And they go, you've got us. No. We've got you, motherfucker. And then Megami just does a really big punch into the octopus's head.
Amazing.
It's so cool.
All PreCure girls are cats. Because they landed on their feet.
Oh, yes.
Took me a minute to remember my joke. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I think that's all I have to say about the movie. If you have anything else to say, you can. Otherwise, I'm ready to move on to Soaring
Sky. I'm ready to move on to Soaring Sky. Catherine, did you like this episode?
That's my job. But yes, I did. How about you?
I liked it quite a bit. I liked that we got to see Sora practicing being a stay-at-home mom for Mashiro in this episode.
I want to touch on Kabaton really quick, even though that's kind of ahead of the game.
Sure.
So Kabaton is doing road work, and he's got like signs and stuff set up. I don't think that was a trap for Sora. I think he got a job because he was about to be fired because he was doing a bad job getting the baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's like genuinely upset when Sora ignores the signs. He's like, there are signs here. She interrupted a man hard at work trying to earn a living for his pig family. And so I think she deserved to get attacked by a Ramborg this episode. I really do. Really quick, also, Birdwatch. Where's the bird?
Bird's here. Bird was sleeping at one point, although at one point, near the middle or the end of the episode, it showed the front of the Yo-Yo household and the bird is gone. I think the bird also has a job. I think the bird is there in the morning, and then as soon as the girls go off to school, the bird flies off and goes to do taxes or something.
Oh my, you don't think he's just having tea in the backyard with Yo-Yo? You think he's doing like an important bird work?
I don't know about important, but certainly a job that earns at least a little bit of money that he can sell on the tasty millet seeds.
I think maybe he's a barista.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like he's just steaming a nice matcha latte for people in the middle of their morning commute. It's really fulfilling work, honestly.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Man, I want to quit my job and be a barista. I have this idealized version in my head of being a barista that is nothing like what being a barista actually would be like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, Tsubasa was there. He was awake. Then he was asleep. And then he was off at his mystery bird job. Let us know in the comments what you think that mystery bird job might have been.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Other great elements from this episode. I don't think they were going for this on purpose, but Sora is unused to living in this world, and she doesn't really know about makeup and other girly things because she's spent her whole life, you know, training in the woods, being half feral, essentially.
She was raised by bears.
Yeah, she's never had any friends. And so there's a moment when our girl Ageha runs into her and is like, "You're having feelings. I'm going to take you out for parfaits, and then I'm going to take you to do makeup." And Sora's like, I don't know about makeup, but Ageha puts the lipstick and the glitter on her, and she's like, "I feel like I could do anything." And honestly, I think you could read that, if you wanted to, as a trans allegory. Because she's never had this before, and she doesn't really know if it's right for her, but then she gets it, and she's like, "This has given me courage."
Okay.
This has helped represent who I am on the inside.
I do really like that. Really quick, before I talk about this more like serious issue, when Ageha first shows up, she kind of hugs Sora from behind, and Sora, like a cat, gets into like a ready to fight mode. Like, "Whoa, who's that? Oh no, it's just you, Ageha."
Joel, you have an easily startled wife.
Yeah.
Have I or have I not done that exact thing at times when you've come up behind
Yeah, absolutely,
me?
absolutely. One of your favorite things, if you think that I'm going to tickle you, is "I will punch you." And she doesn't actually punch me. It's a playful punch, like a rabbit punch.
Sometimes the first words to come to mind are, "I'm gonna kill you," but you say it in that voice and you don't mean it, and it just comes out of your mouth, you know? But also don't tickle me, because I bite. And that's not a joke.
But no, I really like that reading on it. But yeah, it's great. And it's also just a direct connection to Tropical Rouge. Like, we got a direct connection to a previous season without them looking at the camera, or without Manatsu running by on the street being like, "Tropical Shine!" as they put the makeup on or whatever.
Yeah, she didn't have... Although, you'll note, it was another ginger who was like, "Here, get courage for makeup." Manatsu's redheaded, Ageha's redheaded.
Ageha's more like Asuka in hair color, though, right?
No.
I mean, like, they're all... Okay. Anyways.
I am obsessed with Ageha's look. Like, she's just got the comfiest, coziest look. She's got like a jacket over her hoodie, which is weird. But I need that hot pink hoodie. I need her whole outfit, and then I'm going to go to cons dressed as Ageha, and nobody will know who I'm cosplaying because, you know, most people are probably cosplaying the PreCure's actual, like, cure forms.
Probably. Yep. Yeah, this was a good episode. I really liked it. I do feel like they kind of wanted to write two different episodes. I think that the writers were like, we want to write an episode about Sora and Mashiro not communicating with each other because they are married, they are in a relationship. We can't make this any more obvious because, you know, we're told not to make the subtext text. So we need to figure out something that they could have a disagreement about, or something where Sora doesn't feel like expressing herself. And I think that is wonderful. Many relationships and many conversations are hard to have because you feel a little awkward asking questions or being vulnerable. But then, it's also about how Mashiro is going to school, and Sora isn't enrolled in school, and Sora doesn't want to tell people that she wants to enroll in school. So, like, I think, like I said, they want to write an episode about the breakdown of communication, and then some mandate, you know, from, like, some executive was like, the 6th episode has to be a school episode, and they're like, well, I guess they're gonna have a deep and meaningful conversation about school, I guess. Sure. It's fine.
I don't think it was really about school. I think it was about wanting to be with Ageha. So, like, Sora wouldn't have wanted
Not
to go to...
Ageha, with Mashiro.
Sora wouldn't have wanted to go to school if that's not where Mashiro was. If Mashiro was like, I'm going to the metal factory for another day of welding rivets...
I hope my foreman, who's also a bird, isn't mean to me again.
I can't believe that Tsubasa is her foreman. Like, of course he is. He works really hard for this family. But no, Sora would have wanted to be at the metal factory.
Yeah, okay.
And she was embarrassed by how much she wanted to be with Mashiro because she's never had a friend before, so this is a new, unexplored feeling.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. She's read about, like, what handholding is, but she's just not sure if, like, when it's appropriate to bring that up. And, you know, it's just there's a stereotype about lesbians that they don't know when the other person is into them, and so, like, you could also read this episode through that lens if you chose to. I choose to. That's my right as an American.
You've got a podcast. You can read episodes however you want. Kabaton is actually a bee.
Okay, like a big bee or like a tiny bee operating a giant machine?
Yeah.
Okay. One last thing, when Sora decides that she's going to confess her feelings to Mashiro, she's running across town, she sees an old lady, and she just, like, picks up the old lady and carries her across the street, and then, you know, she's just doing kind of hero things. Kind of more, you know, low-key hero things, but still hero things. And there's two teenagers, I guess, who are fighting in that river that you've seen before in plenty of other anime. And they're about to punch each other, and Sora shows up and interrupts the fight. And I swear to goodness, the boy on the left is supposed to be Josuke.
That was Josuke. Yeah. It absolutely was. That was a JoJo's reference. And you could even read the boy on the right as being Dio. If you wanted to be charitable.
The hair's not quite the same. It looks more Dragon Ball Z to me,
in
personally.
some of the later seasons, Dio has hair that goes like this.
Okay. Excuse me, have you seen a foppish man with hair like this? Dio, again?
I hear he kicks all kinds of ass.
Someone get Josuke a drink. What is it? Coke Zero, right? Shut it. I have beef. We're going to end this right now.
Can you do a grindy thingy? On that Egyptian pyramid? Running out of JoJo's references. Moving on. Joel, tell me that we have some incredible calls to adventure this week.
Oh yeah. We've got quite a few from all sorts of different sources.
I like the one that is James and Ayu interacting.
That's right. James only had the one thought about the Happiness Charge movie, the Happiness Charge All-Stars movie, and that he thought that it was kind of odd that the fan sub said something like, Erica said something like, all right, we're going to kick your ass or something. And
she said ass a couple of times in this movie, yeah.
But I think it was kick your ass that, like, James was kind of like, that seems a little too, like, hardcore. That doesn't feel right. And then AU kind of came in with, like, yeah, generally the phrase kick ass is a lot stronger in English, so it's closer to being considered like a swear for young people than it is in Japan. But apparently Shinodine, my beloved from Healin' Good, she does literally say, I'm gonna beat your ass at one point.
And AU says she thinks about that a lot, because of course she does, because it's Shinodine.
Yeah, like, it doesn't really fit the tone of PreCure. Could you imagine if, like, Karahan showed up and he was just like, I'm gonna break your kneecaps. You'd be like, whoa, Karahan, what the heck?
Well, and there's something about a beautiful lady saying it, too. Like Jessie from Pokemon. Imagine her saying, I'm gonna beat your ass. And then being like, don't talk to me, I'm a refined lady.
Absolutely, absolutely.
AU also, like we said earlier, pointed out the pan paka pan onomatopoeia pun. But the other thing that she pointed out was because it's such an obvious pun, there's a lot of bakeries named that in Japan.
Yeah, and she doesn't believe that it's like a chain or anything. It's just a bunch of people have come up with like a similar name kind of a thing. So that's really fascinating. The one thing that I really liked from her observations is that last week we got an episode that was about Mai's older brother, and then this episode kind of sort of has Minori as a focus, you know, Saki's younger sister. And AU is saying that you can see the differences in their personalities, that you can tell that Saki is an older sibling, the eldest sibling, and then Mai is a younger sibling.
I'm looking forward to seeing more examples of that as we go through. Like maybe Mai will be a little bit more timid and a little more easily led, whereas Saki takes the lead in things.
Absolutely. Whereas I would also expect from the stereotypes of family, I'm an only child, so I don't know, but it feels to me like a lot of media portrays older siblings as sometimes being potentially insensitive to other people's problems, if that makes sense, right? So Mai probably spends a lot of time thinking about her big brother, but Saki might spend less time and thinking about her little sister. She might just think, oh, Minori's kind of annoying, that kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
And you also pointed out that it's a long-running tradition from the 80s magical girl genre of having magical girls' families run small business, and Pon Baka Pon is that.
That's cute. I like that. I feel like a character who has that kind of, like, family where they do things together and they have the family business, like they're going to have stronger feelings about love and family and friendship than somebody who, like, their parents go to work in an office every week and they never see them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's very fitting for a magical girl's personality.
Absolutely. One thing that I will say, and my memory is not perfect, as has long been established in the lore of Cure of the What Now, but I don't know if we've ever seen a character whose family is rich who is alienated from that. I mean, maybe, what's her name?
Alice?
Celine from Star Twinkle. But that I don't think that's really the fact that her dad is like a rich man and works at the business. I think that her dad is stern, and that's what causes the friction.
That's true. PreCure's going to have an idealized version no matter what. I'm just saying that it's easier to portray that with this very tight-knit family. The last thing I wanted to point out that AU said that I thought was really fascinating was the mirror parallels between Karihan and the girls. So he's always alone, and they're always together, and they both have consequences for failure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that was a neat thought.
I like it. I'm hoping, I don't know, Karahan is all right, but he's kind of boring. I'm hoping that maybe the next one will have a little bit more personality. The first Futari Wa season had Pessard, and then he was replaced with, I don't remember his name, but the big brawny guy who was kind of dumb, but, you know, really strong. And I guess it's like a form of having more personality.
Absolutely. Sorry for the weird cutout. We're babysitting a dog, and she's in the podcasting studio because she can't be alone. And she's sleeping, but, like, sitting up. So her eyes are closed, but she's sitting up. And it's just very confusing to me. And I was looking at her, and Joel turned around mid-sentence to see what I was looking at.
It looks like her head's drooping. I think she's considering putting her head on her paws. But, oh, no, she heard me talking about her. She's looking right at me. She's got
the elfiest ears. Oh, my gosh.
So we also got quite a few thoughts from Telemon, especially on Soaring Sky. It's a really good episode. And the thing that I want to focus on that Telemon pointed out is that he kind of feels like Kabuton is acting like Pete from old, like, Steamboat Mickey cartoons, or
by having a different disguise in every episode.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Or kind of Wile E. Coyote by having a sign that's like, no crossing here, there's a giant pit, don't go talk to your girlfriend about your feelings and how much you desperately want to be with her every second of the day. So I kind of like that, and Telemon is huge into animation as a hobby interest of his.
Yeah, like knows the names of the animation eras, which I did not.
Yes, and so he has a kind of pet theory that maybe each of the generals that show up are going to represent a different era of animation. I did not have time to read up on what those different eras would be, but I think that's interesting. I don't think it's likely. I think that if they wanted to do something related to animation, they might have made... I mean, I guess they did have color animation that was in the style of Mickey Mouse and Pete or whatever, but I would expect Kabuton to almost be like a black, white, and gray guy who's kind of like always bouncing up and down, and then you could have like each general could be a later generation of animation.
Absolutely. I will say one thing that lends some credence to this theory is the colored pencil drawings in the opening and in the closing. And also kind of the style of the cuts during the transformation sequence. I mean, I think it's a cool theory. I would love to see Toei pay homage to animation that way.
That'd be awesome.
Even if it doesn't turn out to be true, I do really like the wacky Saturday morning cartoon energy of Kabaton.
Yeah, there's completely different vibes between Karahan and Kabaton. Kabaton possibly ate a baby, and we've actually found out that that's not the case. But Kabaton is like basically a Saturday morning cartoon villain. You're never really feeling like you're in danger. Like the worst is going to happen. He's going to make you run into a wall as you chase him or something. Whereas Karahan kind of feels like he's going to try to kill you. So there's completely different vibes. And so far, I'm liking Kabaton's vibes. But if he gets replaced with someone who's more serious, I also wouldn't mind that. I don't mind a tone shift as we get different villains with different motivations or abilities or whatever.
Two things about Kabaton that we did not shout out. One, he says that Odin didn't have nearly enough calories, so he downs an entire sundae to summon this episode's Ramborg. But he doesn't, like, use it all up, so he doesn't become hot Kabaton. Kabatot. He doesn't become that. The other thing I wanted to point out about Kabaton was he's supposed to be dead. Like, not dead necessarily, but fired for sure, right? Like, last episode I thought was going to be his big send-off, and when he lost, I thought we'd be on to the next one.
That's what I'm talking about. Him and Karahan, both of them are kind of like, oh man, I only have one last chance. You've had 3 last chances. If the writers want to write you off the show, just have the villain, instead of saying, this is your last chance, be like, I'm getting tired of this. You know, you're irritating me. And then, when it's their actual last episode, the bad guy could say, no, seriously, I will devour you and return you to darkness.
Bring me Pikachu.
Absolutely. We got a comment on YouTube as well from our last episode from Emmanuel Ni Kwai. Please let us know if we are pronouncing your name incorrectly or correctly. I haven't seen any feedback on that specifically. Now, this sounds like a rumor. I'm not going to say this is true, but if he's right, he was saying that apparently Toei may have, like, figured out that people ship a lot of the PreCure together because, I mean, they hold hands, they transform, they say things like, I want to be with you forever. Apparently, some execs have said, like, okay, we want that subtext to be there, but don't make it actual text. But for the manga, you can go a step further.
So we asked Ayu if that was true. Ayu did not have a chance to respond to us, but if we find out more details either way, we will let you guys know in the next episode.
Absolutely.
That was kind of Markiplier cadence. I didn't mean to do that.
That's, yeah, whatever, man.
I now suddenly have the urge to go bye-bye while FNAF music plays. We have to talk about Soaring Sky 7.
Yes. Soaring Sky 7 is called Thrilling. The transfer student is a hero girl.
Who could they be talking about?
Who could they be talking about?
You know, the word transfer reminded me of a funny story. I'm extremely online, much more so than I should be. And the other day I was driving and I saw a billboard for a school levy that somebody here in town is trying to pass. And it had the word transparent on it. And I forgot that transparent was a word. And I spent a solid 30 seconds trying to figure out what this billboard was saying about transparents and what that had to do with a school levy. And then I was like, that is not what they mean. You're just too online. So the word transfer.
A transfer student is a student who was not born wearing fur cloaks, but now wears them for warmth.
Absolutely.
That is their fur gender expression. And that has been your...
No, I do want to give my legitimate theory about what's going to happen in this episode. I mean, a transfer student is a hero girl. Either she's just going to transform in front of everyone at school because she's an idiot and keeps forgetting things are supposed to be a secret. Also, Mashiro really hasn't given a compelling reason for why things need to be a secret, except you're disturbing the peace. We might get in trouble with the cops.
Absolutely. At this point, they've had 19 seasons of pretending like there will be consequences if people find out about their powers, and so, like, why give up the ghost now?
So it'll either be that, or she'll just be aggressively helping everyone from day one, and everyone will be like, who is this weirdo who showed in and saved a kitten from a tree while also helping the teacher watch her classroom?
Absolutely. It would be kind of interesting if the Skylandians had some kind of physical mark that made them Skylandian, except then it would be kind of obvious that Yo-Yo and Mashiro, well, Yo-Yo is Skylandian and Mashiro is of mixed descent, but it would be kind of interesting if they had to, like, find a way to, like, hide Sora's, like, wings or something, and then during, like, recess or whatever, the jacket comes off and it was like, oh my gosh, wings!
Oh my gosh, like Lala keeping her antenna to herself.
Exactly,
The pervert. I don't know what that was about, I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Do you have a crack theory to send me out on? We kind of struck gold with the bird as a tax worker thing earlier in the episode. I don't know if we're going to be able to top that.
All right, here's the theory. So we believe that Tsubasa is a bird and may have some connection with Cure Wing. It seems likely, but not confirmed to our knowledge, that Tsubasa will become a boy. The bird will become a boy, the boy will become a PreCure. But what if Tsubasa was originally a boy? And he got in trouble for tax evasion. And he ran to Grandma Yo-Yo, the village witch, and asked her for her help to hide him, so she turned him into a bird.
That is exactly what happened. Amazing.
And that has been your
do final thought. Outro goes here. Don't forget, if you're going to evade your taxes, it's better to fake your death first.
Also, don't forget to celebrate with a hearty pon paka pon when you eat your bread. Bye! Goodbye, everyone! I was trying to do, like, the FNAF music. You mentioned it earlier in the episode.
Oh, that's right! Bye! Bow down, ba-ba-ba. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Podcast Time here at Cure of the What Now. Please remember to take a moment to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast from. If you want to chat more, you can find me at Pirate Ghost Host on Twitter.
And you can find me at KOTWN_pod. The link to our Discord is in my bio. You can join us for streams, games, and weekly discussions. Bye!
Stay heroic!